So a few months ago, Samsung sent me the S26 Ultra and they asked me to spend some time with it. And that's exactly what I did. I'm not a phone reviewer, I'm not a camera guy. Most of what I do is antiques, listings, shipping, customer messages, and basically whatever else the day throws at me. So this isn't going to be a technical review, it's just 3 months with a very expensive phone in the hands of someone who really just wanted it to work without making a big production out of it. The first thing I noticed is that this thing is definitely huge. The screen is gorgeous, but it's also big enough that one-handed use starts to feel a little bit optimistic. And owing to that size, it does tend to stick out of my pocket at a weird angle. Likewise, the camera cluster does sit several millimeters out from the case back. That's not really a complaint, it's just the trade-off. This is a big phone. You get a massive screen, a serious camera system, and a phone that feels expensive because it is expensive. And because it's expensive, I babied it more than I probably would have if it were my daily driver. But once I actually started using the cameras, I understood why Samsung wanted people spending time with this thing. So most of the footage in this video was shot around Tulsa. Some of it was from March, shortly after I got the phone, and some of it was from within the last few days. None of it was especially planned. I took it downtown, by the river, around Route 66, wherever I happened to be when something looked interesting. You've got to admit, that thing is a little bit weird. And that's probably the most useful thing that I can say about the cameras. I'm not setting up shots, I'm not carrying extra gear, I'm not tuning every little setting, I'm just pulling the phone out of my pocket, pointing it at something, and seeing if it gives me something usable. And most of the time it did. The nighttime footage is where I was probably most impressed. So downtown gives the camera a lot to deal with. Bright lights, dark parking lots, reflective glass, a glowing skyline, and some almost black shadows. You've got all of this stuff happening basically in the same frame, and the phone has to decide exactly how it's going to handle all of it. And that's usually where phone footage starts to fall apart. But here, the image mostly holds together. The lights stay controlled, the dark areas don't turn into complete mush, and the stabilization does a pretty good job considering this was just me walking around with a phone. Where this matters most to me though is definitely work. I'm in the antique business, so a lot of my day revolves around making old stuff look good for pictures. And that basically means grabbing the most accurate depiction of the item that I possibly can. Furniture, lamps, statues, glass, metal, wood grain, gilding, damage, texture, all of that has to show up clearly because people are buying based on the photos. And for that kind of work, the camera has been incredibly useful. It's fast, it focuses well, and most of the time I can get a clean, usable image without having to fight with it. That doesn't mean I stop being careful with it. This phone is expensive and the camera lenses stick out far enough that I'm still definitely aware of them every single time I set it down, so I've babied it quite a bit. The one place where I did manage to make the footage worse was Decapolis. I was messing around with Super Steady and Horizon Lock here, and this was not the right environment for it. The lighting wasn't pitch black or anything, but it was definitely dim, uneven, and full of strange shapes, displays, and objects sitting at weird angles. That seems to be where those modes start to kind of struggle. In brighter outdoor spaces, they can look really impressive, but indoors and lower light, the footage got noticeably softer, and the phone even warned me that the conditions weren't exactly ideal. So that's one of my main takeaways. The software stabilization is like distilled magic, but it does have its limits. Needless to say, sometimes the better move is just to turn off the fancy mode and let the regular camera stabilization do its job, because by itself it is pretty darn good. So after 3 months, that's basically where I've landed with it. It is huge, it is expensive, I'm still a little bit paranoid about the camera lenses, but the battery life has been excellent, the screen is beautiful, and the cameras work well in excess of what I actually need. And for me, that's a huge win. I mean, there's a whole lot this camera system can do that I'm not really taking advantage of yet, and I know that if I ever decide to get weird with the settings or try to be a little bit more deliberate and artistic with what I'm shooting, this phone is going to have me covered. I mean, 3 or 4 years from now, the cameras on this phone are still going to be formidable. And this isn't all that relevant, but I made a really cool Art Deco themed wireless charger for this phone, and I'm not sure I can charge it any other way now.